Welcome back to Write Out Loud. Yes, we are back. Back again. Woo-hoo. Write Out Loud is back. Tell a friend. Yeah, it's been a little bit, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Unfortunately, we had some family medical issues. We had some health issues of our own. We had some other things going on. So it has kept us out of the play for a couple of weeks, but we are back.
It was January. What else is going to happen after the holidays? Everyone gets sick and...
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But we're back and we are ready to rock and roll. Today, we're diving headfirst into what's probably a deceptively simple question. Should writers be vocal about their personal political beliefs, or should the work speak for itself? Because in an age where every single take is permanent, public, and algorithmically amplified, silence isn't neutral. But neither is speaking up. So I'm Matt, and of course I'm joined by the brilliant, the bubbly, the razor sharp, the endlessly curious Christina, who is always ready to question assumptions, challenge comfort zones, and lovingly set fire to a neat conclusion.
Oh, I'll take that. I'll take that.
But it is important to know that in this episode, we're not here to give you the answers to this. This is something where we're going to explore the questions, kind of talk through some of our thoughts, but it is up to you to decide, as the writer, as the artist, is this a time where you speak up, or do you keep it to yourself?
Yeah. I've been seeing this quite a bit, media, where audiences are coming out and saying, oh my God, I didn't know this author was of XYZ political mindset. And previous times, writers would say something like, how could you not know, reading my material, what my political leanings were? And I think that was a absolutely valid thing to say. But I've seen a shift. Where now the artists are coming out and saying, and I'm grouping artists as an umbrella. Yes, we speak of writing here, and our general audience is from the publishing world. But this also includes, I can think back to the Dixie Chicks, when they were across the pond and made it known. And the phrase, shut up and sing, became a thing. And so I thought it would be a really good time to talk about that, because I've seen a shift where instead of just saying, how could you not know what my political leanings were, to things like, this is too important for me not to speak out about. And so I think we're in a little bit of a different atmosphere here. And that's why I thought it would be an interesting topic.
We saw as well in as recent as the Grammys last night that a lot of artists were vocally making their thoughts known on subjects like ICE, things like that. So it's definitely prime topic for this day and age and what we're dealing with currently. I think it has been going on a while. I think there's been some times where friends of mine have said to me, oh, you're still watching that show? We don't watch that because so-and-so is MAGA. And in some cases I was like, huh? Oh, really? Like I had no idea. Right.
Yeah.
And I think another example of that, we did a whole episode on it with J.K. Rowling, and as offensive and as controversial as she is, but I think there's been a lot of folks who continue to kind of separate the art from the artist.
Right.
And while they don't want to get involved in maybe new projects they release, they're still supportive of the previous, because that was whatever they came up with. They were kind of still attached to that and wanted to maintain that attachment. Right. And I think it's a deeply kind of personal question. It's a personal thing that you have to decide. Do I want to continue to do that or not, knowing that they might get some benefit?
And that is a perspective we're coming from, is every single consumer, reader, listener, anything, we all have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
We have a choice. Using the J.K. Rowling, we have a choice whether or not to put any more money into that basket, regardless of if it's new or old or whatever. As a consumer, that's what we have a choice to do. And that's not what we're debating here at all today, because everyone has their own choice about where they're going to spend their money. The question really becomes, as an artist, is there a line that you draw that I'm not going to cross that line because I will lose all of my income because my income comes from the consumer?
Sure.
Or is there something that, I do not care if I lose every single reader and every dime I make from writing my books? This is too important for me to speak out on.
Sure.
I think that's what the choice comes down to for the artist, is whether or not this is something important enough. And on the other hand, like I said, there are tons of, writers that have come out and said, how can you read my books and not know? And I think that's why the J.K. Rowling thing sometimes gets people, is that you read the material, and I never would have thought the material did not reflect her personal beliefs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, John Lithgow was just tapped to play Dumbledore in the new HBO adaptation of Harry Potter. And he, in an interview, kind of said as much. He was like, I find it very baffling because her work does not at all reflect that. It's all about kindness, and it's all about accepting others and inclusion and everything. So he goes, it's just baffling to me.
So in a sense, that's, again, comes down to someone's personal preference on where they're going to spend their money. But yeah, I do think sometimes people read something and you're kind of surprised. So, I mean, it does come down to, do you know your audience? Do you know what type of, and again, I'm going to speak directly to books. Do you know what type of book that you're writing? Because people that write, and I'm going to go specifically to the romance genre, because this seems to happen a little bit more there than other places, because there is kind of a dividing line within the romance genre that are going to be very generalized here, that are closed door romances that appeal to a specific crowd, and then open door romances that clearly speak to another crowd.
Sure.
And if there is someone who doesn't cross the line in either one of those places, and then all of a sudden they start speaking out. So again, with this generalized tone, meaning I know that there are going to be exceptions and everything, but if someone is writing Amish romances and they come out as very LGBTQ friendly, there is going to be a reader disconnect there, and you are going to
potentially,
probably, lose some audiences there. So I think if you are speaking to an audience that is specific to a certain political leaning, I'd probably not let political affiliations be known.
Yeah.
But I think we're also in a time where I don't know anybody who is, again, going to be writing something that you're not, like, if you are not passionate about the Amish romances,
right,
you're probably not going to be writing.
Yeah.
So it's a little.
I think there's the other side of that coin too, which is you might lose. Let's say you are. We're going to continue this analogy, right? So you write Amish romances. Your core audience probably is that group of folks who likes that type of romance, right? And then you come out as pro LGBTQ or atheist or whatever, right? Hardcore something that is different or seems to be antithetical to Amish romances. There's also the flip side that you could engage a whole new audience that
Yeah.
starts to like your stuff as you slough off some of the folks that would have stayed
Right.
had you not voiced your opinion, right? So
Yeah.
we see that sometimes on a smaller scale, and definitely with less stakes at play. We see that on a smaller scale in things like people who have accounts on Instagram or accounts on Threads and make a comment and lose a bunch of followers, but then gain 10 times as many because other people find them and like what they have to say. So
Yeah.
there is a bit of a bet there where you're like, gosh, I could potentially lose some, but maybe gain some more. Who knows? I think at the end of the day, if you are looking at things through the lens of, do my beliefs help people or potentially hurt people? And if you can look at it and go, well, my beliefs actually help people. They want to include others. They want people to thrive. My beliefs want people to have the best in life. And no matter what religion they are, no matter what sex, sexual orientation, whatever, chances are you're going to be okay. It just depends, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like chances are you're going to be okay. Now, if you start embracing, for example, the disgusting tactics that ICE are using currently, and you start thinking, writing about that or talking about how that's great and they should keep doing that, then, you very well may lose a lot in that. You might lose some followers. You might gain some more also, certainly. But I think the other sort of factors to weigh in there are what happens with people that you work with in your art. For example, if you're an author, your publishing company, whatever you say is public. So they have every right to say, we are no longer going to work with you based on your comments, right? Your cover artist might also be like, yep, nope. It's been fun, but never again. So there are real world ramifications to the business side of things.
Yep.
And again, hopefully you're making the right determination, the right decision as far as when it's time to speak out, but you just have to know it's a gamble.
I think, again, it comes down to the idea that if you are passionate enough about something, that you are willing to face the consequences of what may happen. Again, I keep thinking back to recent comments in the last few weeks. And again, you mentioned ICE. People are speaking out because they see what is happening and they are not okay with it.
Yep.
And so they say, I don't care if I lose every single reader. This is more important. And I will be okay because I will go do this, this, and this, and this, and this. So what it comes down to really is, are you okay with standing behind whatever comments you are going to make?
Mm-hmm.
If you are unsure about those comments and how they will be received and you're like hemming and hawing, then maybe it's not time to speak out. But if you are so absolutely like, I am so totally down with losing everything, because you cannot be silent any longer. And the thing is, I think we as audience members also have to take into consideration, we have found these people through their voice, through their writing. And there was something that attracted us to their writing in the first place. And to be stifling their voice at a time when they feel it is most necessary to use it, I think is also putting people in a box that you can't. You can't do that. And as an audience member, I myself would have to sit and go, okay, this person feels that vocally about it. And my choice, again, comes down to, do I buy their work or don't I buy their work? And as you said, I think a lot of times when people speak out, when it's something that vitally important, as you said, I think a lot of people fill in and say, hey, I wasn't following you before, but you know what? You just gained yourself a new follower.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those new followers, they perhaps will buy your stuff. I think it's a very, very interesting time, not just to be a citizen of humanity, but also to be in the publishing industry, because I think we are seeing another monumental shift in how this industry will be going forward.
Sure. Yeah, I think there's an aspect of this too that as an author, as an artist of some sort, that when you come upon this time, and to your point, depending on how passionately you feel about it, but when you come to this point, you feel like, gosh, I really need to decide, is it time to speak up or not, right? There's sort of this argument of, at some point, does silence equal complicity? And is there a responsibility for you to speak out because you have maybe a platform that others don't, right? And I think that's a more nuanced discussion, because is it a responsibility just because you have a large following? Some say yes, some say no. I don't know who's right, to be honest. I think it depends on the situation.
Yeah, yes and no. I'm going to have to maybe slightly disagree with you on that, simply because I don't think you can put that responsibility on anyone, regardless. I mean, if they're the most world famous actor, are they obligated to speak out if they don't feel comfortable doing so? That's putting a responsibility on them. That it's different if it's a politician or somebody that is working in politics. Then yes, I think it is a responsibility to speak up and say what it is that you believe. Now, the other side of the coin to that is also, what if you are in the minority and believe in the minority? And someone who, I'm trying to dance around this because I don't want this to get too political, but if you're a Nazi and you believe in the Nazi way, I'm pretty sure that everybody is okay with you being quiet. But on the other hand, do they have a responsibility to shout from the rooftops that they're a Nazi?
Or anti-Nazi, yeah.
Or anti-Nazi. Now, no, because the opposite, that's what I'm saying. I think I'm not being clear on what I'm saying here, is that, like, if your voice is clearly in the majority, like anti-Nazi, I feel comfortable saying on this podcast, without us getting into any politics, I am totally anti-Nazi.
Yeah.
I believe I believe the Holocaust happened, and I believe it was one of the most evil things to happen, and it should never happen again. And I think that's my point, is that when you know your voice is in the majority, when you know your voice is in the majority, let me say that again so that I'm very clear. It is easier for you to speak out because you know you will be supported by the majority. Sure. But if your voice is in the minority, then, it is more difficult. And what it does come down to is it the responsibility of someone to speak out just because they have a platform? And I'm going to have to say it really depends on if they feel comfortable doing it. If they don't feel comfortable doing it, there might be reasons, and we can't really fault them for that,
Yeah, I think it depends, though. I think there is a way, because I agree with you and I disagree in both situations. I think there is a question, and I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm posing it out of just food for thought, right? Like, do they have an actual responsibility because they have amassed this following of people, that they have put out this work, and they continue to put out this work, and it attracts more and more people, and more people are buying into it, and there's like this whole sort of, I don't know, I guess almost like empire building. Like, you're building your own collection of, or your own tribe. And does that then, because of the notoriety, because of the fame that comes with it, because of the power that comes along with that, does that then sort of require them to not stay silent? In instances mainly of injustice, I think, certainly not in situations where, like, if they were pro-Nazi, for example, I agree with you. I think most people would be okay with them just shutting the hell up in that case. But if you're anti-Nazi, if you're anti-injustice, like, then maybe there is. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think, again, it comes down to the individual has to be okay with whatever consequences happen from that. And I think that's why I'm willing to give someone who has that type of platform a little bit of grace. Yes, I would hope that they speak up and make their feelings known. But I also understand that they are maybe considering the consequences, and they can see some consequences maybe that we do not, or that we should not judge them for.
Yep.
The thing is, we don't know what's going on in their personal life. Let's say, okay, I'm totally making this scenario up just to fit this lens, but it is going to give you an idea. What if that person has an elderly relative that relies on them for their health care? And this person says, but if I speak out and I lose all of my money, I can no longer care for that relative. All I'm saying is we don't know what the consequences are. And that person, whether they be an author, actor, I'm not going to say activists, because activists are the ones that are, but that's what I mean, is that every person has to look through the lens of, what are my responsibilities to the world? What are my responsibilities to myself and my family and everyone around me? And what are going to be the consequences of this? So,
and personal safety.
And personal safety. And so that's why I'm saying I'm going to give everyone the grace of understanding that they know what's best for them and their career. But that does not mean that they are excused from judgment. You know, everyone is going to be judged on the other side of all of this. Whether that be
religious, moral, whatever.
Whatever the other side of this happens to be. And if we're still alive for it. That's what I'm saying, is that everyone has to do what they need to do for their own personal reasons.
Agreed. Agreed. So where does this leave us? Maybe with fewer answers than we started with. And honestly, that might be the point. Because whether writers speak up, stay quiet, or let their stories do the talking, every choice carries weight. Art doesn't exist in a vacuum, and neither do the people who make it. But how much of the creator we want and how much we're willing to separate from the work might say as much about us as it does about them. So we'd love to know where you land on this. Do you want writers to challenge your worldview or just tell a damn good story? However you feel, keep the conversation going, and we'll see you next time on Write Out Loud. Hey, thanks so much for listening to the podcast. We really hope that you're enjoying every bit of it, but we would love to hear your feedback. Drop us an email either to matt@writeoutloudpod.com or Christina@bookmatchmaker.com. We would love to hear your thoughts. What's working, what's not working, and what do you want to hear more of? Thanks so much. We really appreciate it.